the summer of love.
What's up everybody, it's Rexbro here, and today I am bringing you a World Chalice deck profile. This runs two different engines, I guess you could say three or four depending on whether or not you count the World Chalice itself as an engine, but we'll go over those individually as we get to them. So we're going to start off with the first and probably my favorite, well, most convenient part of this deck is the Venus engine. So we've got two Agent of Creation Venus and three of these mystical shine balls, which Venus can create by paying 500 life points. You can special summon a mystical shine ball from your hand or deck, so you can really pump out materials for your link summons just with 500 measly life points. You can also use a card later on that'll show you to search out Venus. But anyways, let's move on to the World Chalice part of this. As you saw from the opening, World Legacy World Chalice is, well, it's the center of the deck as it holds the name as its actual name, not part of the archetype. So its effect is that you can basically negate your opponent summoning from the extra deck whenever this card is on the field, and then normal summon card leaves the field, you can special summon two World Chalice monsters from your deck, and except for itself, of course. And then its last effect is if this card is in the graveyard except for the turn it was sent there, you can banish it to add one World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. Obviously this is going to be a main candidate for its own effect, but there's also another card later on in this profile where I'll show you that it is also a really handy thing to get off of World Legacy's effect. Anyways, moving on to Guard Dragon. It's level 1 little dude. It has a hand trap effect that sort of works as protection, but not really. Also, well, this card is in the graveyard. You can banish it, then target one normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position to rezone that a link monster you control points to. It's really convenient for getting more materials on the board, and even more convenient for what this build's OTK plan is, which we'll get to in a bit. Next, we're moving on to Lee, the World Chalice Fairy, the searcher of the deck. It's Stratos, whatever you want to call it. So whenever this card is normal or special summon, you can add a World Chalice monster from your deck to your hand. And when you add a World Chalice monster to hand, keep this in mind, you're basically saying that it's going to be on your board by the end of the turn at some point, or at some point in time during your turn. And then you can send one card on the field or in your hand to the Great One monster from your hand or field to the graveyard to send this card in your graveyard back to your hand. And each of its effects are hard once per turn. We run two Beckoned by the World Chalice as normal monster targets, and general 1800 beater isn't too terrible for a level 4. Now moving on to what is actually my favorite engine, the Kaiju engine, with one Dogron because it's a Raigeki, 2 Radiant because it's summon fodder or link fodder, and then finally Lightning Strike because it can attack 3 times to monsters on your opponent's side of the field, and your opponent cannot use cards and effects for the rest of the turn when its effect is activated. So as soon as you use his effect, your opponent can no longer use effects during their turn. So that means evenly matched, gone. Any Quaking, Mirror Force, gone. Any of those quick spells or traps that they were going to use on you, or even hand traps, aren't going to work. So win condition for this, I've thought about bumping it up to 2, but since it's searchable, I left it at the 1. 1 Max C, because it's Max C, which is, by the way, this is our last engine, the hand trap engine, because in today's meta you need it. So 1 Max C, and 2 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Great card. And like you can go without this and replace them with like actual traps, which you can do in your side deck. Um, but I recommend running them just because it's so convenient and you don't know what you might miss out on from not having them. Alright, now onto the spells. 3, Kyoto Waterfront, because it's your searcher for the kaijus, it can protect itself, um, and it's generally your main token generator for, or the counter generator for the kaijus. 3, Terraforming, so that you have 6 total Kyotos. 1 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, Raigeki plus a special summon, and if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to search out a kaiju. World Legacy's Heart. This was the card I was talking about before with World Legacy World Chalice, because this card can. So this card, when you activate it, you can add 2 World Chalice monsters from your graveyard to your hand with different names. Also, it acts as protection. When it's in the graveyard, you can banish it um, to negate like a destruction of one of your monsters by battle. Alright, moving on to the part 2 of the Venus engine, the 3 transmodify. So if you use this card on either the World Chalice Fairy or Mystical Shine Ball, it turns into a Venus that you can then spawn Shine Balls with. So an opening combo could be opening with your Fairy and then searching off your World Legacy World Chalice, then activating Transmodify on your Fairy to get Venus, then using Venus's effect 3 times to get the normal things and then link someone from there, so on and so forth. If you wanted, I can do a whole tutorial video on how to play this deck. I love this deck so much, it's one of my favorites, but anyways, moving on. 3 Unexpected Die, this can get out your Beckoned or your Mystical Shine Ball if you have a Transmodify in hand. 2 Dark Factories, this is to keep your Shine Balls in circulation so that you can keep using them. Or for your Beckoned if you are in desperate need for a World Chalice on board. And then finally, 2 My Body as a Shield. I consider these really my traps of the deck. So if your opponent activates a spell or trap card or monster effect that will destroy a monster on the field, except during the damage step, you can pay 1500 life points and negate the activation. So it's really good. I thought about bumping it up to 3. Originally had it at 1 and it just I didn't see it as often as I would have liked. But yeah, moving on to the Link deck, because it's not an extra deck, we only have Link monsters. 3 Duke is an extra normal summon, and it has a first effect that we're not even going to bother with. 2 Link Spiders as fodder for Link material, and also just if you run out of things to link into. So, yeah. Then we have 3 Orm. This is your main Link too, because it goes off with your combos on the Kaijus. So this card gains 300 attack for each World Legacy monster in your graveyard. You only run 1 in this deck, so he's only ever going to have 2300 attack. But its second effect, which is more important, is the fact that you can send 1 World Chalice monster this card points to the graveyard, and then special summon any monster from your graveyard to his own discard points to, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Because that can bring back your Thunder King, it can bring back Dagaron, any of your kaijus, and it's just really good. Basically a Monster Reborn, except it only works for your graveyard. 2 Ib kind of works as protection. She herself is really well protected. She is really hard to kill from battle and somewhat by card effects. As long as it's linked up with something. But yeah, not much else to say about that. We mainly use her for the whole World Chalice name if we need to get Orm out, or as just extra fodder for the World Chalice boss monster. We have 1 Proxy Dragon, once again sort of just as Link fodder, and his protection is decent though, protecting by it was originally supposed to be able to protect from Raigeki and Darkhole, but they changed the ruling on that. I don't know. It's weird. And now for our main dude, 2 Ningirsu if you have room, you could bump them up to 3. So if this card is link summoned, you get to draw cards equal to the number of World Chalice monsters this card points to. So if you do your thing, if you do the thing and you do it right, you can draw 3 cards, which is very nice. Yeah, you can draw 3 cards, which is really good. And then its second effect, which is even better because it can work for any deck. You can send once per turn, hard once per turn. You can send 1 card from your side of the field to the graveyard and 1 card on your opponent's side of the field to the graveyard. Doesn't target, doesn't destroy, doesn't banish. So it's really good for today's meta. Like I said, if you want to be able to bump it up to 3, I recommend it actually. But I like to keep it at 2 just because I've never run into problems. But I might just not be going against the right people for that to happen. Next up, we got Firewall Dragon, causes loopholes. You know how it is. Might as well be called Loophole Dragon. Borolo Dragon, this can sort of get you out of those tight spots where you just don't have a big enough attack if you don't have Thunder King on the board or something. So that's what Borolo's there for, and that's pretty much it. I don't go over my side deck. I don't like going over it because it's up to personal preference. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hope to see you next time. As always, have a roaring good day.